Stefanie Babst, a former NATO Deputy Assistant Secretary General. Welcome to BBC News once again, Stefanie. First of all, let's talk about those talks, as we heard there from Vitaly. No concrete direction towards a ceasefire because Russia and Ukraine are still very much disagreeing on some of the basic principles of what a ceasefire agreement would look like.
Yeah, the Russian memorandum is not new. It doesn't entail anything which the Ukrainians don't know yet. They entail the maximum demands that the Russian side has put forward all along, which is basically about the capitulation or surrender of Ukraine, so completely unacceptable for the Ukrainian side. And on top of that, the Russian President Putin believes that he's on the road to military victory. So my assumption is that we're going to see rather an intensification of fighting, both in the Donbass and on other fronts. And on the Ukrainian side, hopefully, we see more of these absolutely brilliantly operated drone strikes that we've seen two days ago.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. It's been described as audacious. We've heard that it took months and months of planning. How do you think some of the support that we've seen coming in from Western nations may have helped support an attack like that?
Well, first of all, I think the Ukrainian military message has two recipients. On the one hand side, it was clearly a message addressed to Russia. On the other side, it is also a message being addressed to some of Ukraine's Western backers, in particular those who continue to argue that it is simply not possible to really make Russia suffer major military setbacks. And secondly, one must not provoke Russia. So the Ukrainians have really proven that wrong. And I think this is a very reassuring message. On the other hand, I think the operation demonstrates that Ukrainians are capable and willing to act independently from the West. To my knowledge, they have not received any particular support for carrying out that operation that we've seen. And I think they are really ready to fight on their own terms, being recognizant of the fact that they cannot rely fully and unconditionally on their Western backers. So we're going to see more of an independent Ukrainian military course of action.
And just staying on the subject of military, I wanted to, while I had you here, Stefanie, ask you about your reaction to what we've heard from the UK government and its strategic defence review. The Defence Secretary saying we're in a new era of threat, which demands a new era for UK defence. Do you feel that that is something across the board for the UK and its other NATO allies?
Well, absolutely. I think the defence review entails a number of very, very important messages, which are surely welcome in NATO and by NATO allies. In particular, Britain's intent to really improve massively on its warfighting capabilities, on new technologies, as well as also on enhancing its nuclear posture. These are all very important issues. At the same time, there are remaining questions related to, for instance, the manpower and the financing of this plan. I think it's good, that we're all eager and willing in Europe to spend more on capabilities, but at the end of the day, we need men and women to carry out, or rather operate, these type of capabilities. And that's a problem I think that Great Britain will continue to tackle. It's a problem that many other European countries, including my own, Germany, has. And then there is also, if I may add this very quickly, an underlying assumption that we will continue to rely on the United States as a European power and rely on Washington as a credible and reliable ally in the future. And I think this is a misjudgment. I think the United States has already pulled out and started to decouple partially. So it's better to prepare for more decoupling.
OK, Stefanie Babst, former NATO Deputy Assistant Secretary General, thank you very much for sharing your insight on a few of the stories that we've discussed.
Thank you.
around the world and across the UK. This is BBC News.